Welcome to New Zealand. Welcome back. I'm Andrew the Phoenix for Gaming Down Under. Every gamer at some point or another has come up against the trope that we are all pimple-faced, high-voiced people that live in basements and code games on a green and black computer from 1981. We've all come up against someone from our friends, family, our jobs, or even just randoms on the street that call us out about being gamers at some point or another. You're wasting your life. Go get a real hobby. You really waste your money on that crap? Why don't you go outside and do something? I have personally come up against these comments at one point or another, and they make me as angry now as they did then. Ignorant people who have never even picked up a game, let alone finished one, or had a game really mean something to them. Growing up in New Zealand, our culture loves one thing more than anything else: sports. Rugby, netball, hockey, cricket, all that jazz. If you weren't into sports, it was hard to make friends, and even harder to confess to being a gamer. Like it was a cardinal sin upon our very beings. I had my time as a kid, playing soccer, football as it now has to be called for some reason. I was overweight, not particularly physical, and I loved my video games. There was little else that made me as happy as sitting by the fire on a winter's day, my eyes fixed on my Game Boy Color, playing my copy of Pokemon Gold. Video games were banned at my school very early on when, and I kid you not, a fight broke out because two kids traded a Pokemon, one of them wanted to trade back, the other kid refused, and he got punched in the face. Cultural capital of the world, ladies and gentlemen. Naturally, home time was Pokemon time, Zelda time, and talking about games with the few friends I had that loved gaming as much as me. But outside those walls, myself, along with my friends, were targets. From the school bullies to the school faculty, we were picked on. No one understood our world, no one understood how we communicate. Insert pumped 90s Pokemon soundtrack here. They trained for rugby, I trained my Charizard. They brought new running shoes, I brought new games. I'm not going to talk about bullying too much, that's another video. Through a combination of my past, which caused me to be overweight due to an injury at a young age, and the constant attitude of others that made me feel like an outcast, I wanted to be home playing my games, so that's what I did. And I never lost any weight as a result, which research will show today is a serious health concern for many. But that's where I was happy. That's where many of us were happy. Away from the bullies, away from the naysayers. Kanto was my true home in my heart, and all I needed was a couple of AA batteries and a quiet room to be there. Looking at modern times, gaming has exploded into this massive culture. Thanks to YouTube, thanks to MySpace and Facebook, thanks to virtual space, we can connect with millions of other people who love what we love. And we can talk and argue about video games as much as we like from our bedrooms or our living rooms. We know we're not alone. And even though all the controversy over the last 20 years with violent games, the belief that games made people into perfect killing machines that would shoot anyone if given the chance, society has slowly allowed it to integrate into everyday living. If you see someone playing a Nintendo DS on the bus, they aren't getting funny looks anymore, or called out by the randoms for being a nerd or a geek. He or she is a gamer, and that's okay. When society finally decided that games needed to be regulated, things like the ESRB were created to monitor and police the rating and distribution of video games. They told us what was appropriate for what ages, helping clueless parents with a simple numbered system showing them what was appropriate for their child. The first game I ever came across an issue with involving the rating system was Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. I was about 15 at the time and this game was hyped. The internet was getting better and we had access to forums and websites that told us about new games and content coming our way. So, like every other gamer I knew at the time, I went to my local rental store and I grabbed a copy off the shelf, only to be stopped in my tracks by one sentence. "Are you 18? I was a big guy for my age, but there was no way I passed for an 18-year-old. That and my lack of any photo ID made it hard. But through a little bit of asking my mum over and over again and convincing her I was mature enough to play this game, I finally got my hands on my own copy of San Andreas. The now infamous Jack Thompson would have you believe that I am now a fully qualified killer, and that CJ was training me for gang warfare. Looking back on my past, I haven't actually killed that many people, so I guess it failed. But we know, like sensible people, that we make our own choices in life, and games don't make us into killers. Not in my opinion, anyway. To the next generation, it would probably seem strange that there was a time where video games were not really an acceptable pastime, when Minecraft would have involved making a paper-mache mine out of glue and toothpicks, and Five Nights at Freddy's would have been an awkward week with that one cousin you don't really get along with, but he has a sneeze so you smile and put up with him. When I talk to kids and teens these days about gaming, they have parents that played video games at some point or another, whereas my generation's parents had only passed through the arcade and NES age on their way to the 90s, especially here in New Zealand where gaming didn't hit its pop culture height until the 2000s. They are not as shocked or worried about game ratings or suggested content ages. They see so much on the internet now and can access so much information so quickly that gore, violence, and intolerance are totally different things to them. Whereas we were terrified of the original Doom on the PC, these kids were growing up playing Call of Duty, playing Halo, playing Five Nights at Freddy's, and watching YouTubers play these and many more games. They aren't shocked by content like we would have been at their age. You can find gaming almost everywhere now. Mobile gaming is trying its best to be a mainstream form of gaming. Handheld gaming has reached a point where you can have a 40-hour adventure waiting in your pocket. Consoles and PC devs are showing us that we're close to having real-life graphics and content right at home. Even virtual reality is making its comeback in a big way from its space-age 80s ideas. Like a newly born civilization taking its first steps into a bigger world, we are making our way up the food chain and making ourselves a foundation. We will not be told by the jocks and the older generations that we don't matter, or that we're wasting our lives. We put our hearts and our souls into our games, into our content, and into the worlds we love so much in the digital realm. We are the gaming culture, and we should be proud of who we are and what we have helped create. Without people wanting digital entertainment, the developers would have no need to make anything, and people all over the world would be missing some of the best tales and adventures of their lives. Not to mention the technology that some developers are producing to help disabled people not only play games, but have access to the world that they may never have had if gaming had never come around. So be proud, gamers. Love yourself. Love your fellow gamers. Even when they cheap shot you in multiplayer by putting proximity mines all over the map in GTA 5 Online when you're just trying to race and they want to watch the world burn. Love them anyway, because we share something that is helping define our generation. And so, thank you so much for watching. Check out my other videos and let me know your gaming stories in the comments, and how you feel about gaming culture and any other ideas you might have for future content for my videos. I'm Andrew the Phoenix for Gaming Down Under.